crypto market remains choppy. And we can actually see that movements in the charts. Bitcoin is actually showing you a rejection here, and right now back to testing 60,500 range. This level has been acting as a support for some time. Now, can we hold on to this level and bounce back? This is something we should be looking at. Because on the other end, the dollar shows us a possibility evolving. Because if this is playing out, that's going to be positive for the crypto, which means the micro leg down here, the micro capitulation, it can be a trap for sellers. If we are going to short the market at this point in time, it will be confusing because the thought process has been there. We were expecting such a move. Being honest, in the SI family, we had the thought process shared earlier. 2 days back, we were looking at this. A slow move to the downside, then slowly testing back to the upside, which should be a surprise for those who are kind of going to short this asset because of this particular break to the downside. Because remember, the thought process for ETH was kind of the same. We're still here in the micro pattern inside the short-term channel. We need to see a break. Now, if we break to the downside, we may come down and then go up. We were looking for something like this, right? It was, again, 2 or 3 days. Yeah, 3 days back, we were looking for something like this. And right now, when we enter into the market looking at Ether, we're watching that kind of a lower wick to the downside coming on a higher time frame. Now, what are the optimistic things in the market and what are the real red flags which you should not miss? These are going to be the key factors which we'll go through in today's video. Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where the normal retail guys get to learn how to become the next top 10% of this world. Right now, when we are looking through the charts and looking through the volatility, which we are obviously watching, you need to look for the macro as well, right? So on the optimistic side, we are watching like big numbers being thrown out, but it's not going to happen in a week or a month. These numbers, the thought process is still 2030. That's another 6 years from here. But yeah, obviously for that, the price has to go up, come back down, and a lot of different things should happen. But if you're looking at the market, you're right now watching something changing. Central banks have actually gone nuts buying into safe haven assets. What are they anticipating? Why would they buy into hard assets like gold at such quantity just these 3 months? That means they are looking for the fiat to get devalued for some reason. Maybe it's going to be government spending of some sort, which is going to come in our way. I don't know what it is, but it does look like that. And if you look at the Bitcoin side of things, you're literally watching someone coming in, buying more and more. You're literally watching a lot of possibilities that some of these banks are heading towards the cliff. And these are not the normal, crypto guys saying. These are legendary investors, the billionaires, giving you the idea that they expect at least one bank failure a week. This is not small. Last time this happened, we knew crypto was going to be a good part of that, and that did play out. So with all of that information, if you try to digest it, the market is trying to prepare for something which is on the horizon. We're watching bigger banks starting to play into the Bitcoin ecosystem, the crypto ecosystem, to be honest. Yes, SECs are a pain and they have been that for a long period of time. So this is not new. But if you do understand this from Raul, he's kind of clearly highlighting the fact that we are going back to that liquidity cycle where we started seeing enormous moves in the markets. Now, Is this a breakout right now? You still need more time for that. That's a secular macro market cycle he's talking. Now, say all of those actually adds on to the positive side. Let's actually look at the price action as well to see what the market shows us, because that's seriously important in my opinion. If you do look at this trend line, we can actually say, okay, I'm being super conservative. I'm trying to be a little bit negative, right? You saw all the positive stuff on the other side. If you're someone who follows the price action closely, you would say, this is what you should be doing, right? You put that into a line chart, and then you put your argument saying, okay, this is really volatile for sure, but this cannot be ignored. You're still at the retest. That's one when you are a little bit optimistic. But the moment you go in as super conservative, you're like, no. I'm going to actually put this a little bit above. Yes, it didn't reach there, but let's be naive here, saying bears still control the market. In that sort of a narrative, you are still testing these resistances. One, the local trend line resistance, which you're playing with, and then the horizontal range here. We need to see both of them being broken, because the concerns which I raised earlier on a 3-day chart is still relevant. This range, which was acting as a support, is now acting as a strong resistance. The price didn't break higher. Yes, we did get a great bullish candle here. Bullish engulfing candles are not a fake outs, right? And as of now, you're still watching another 3-day candle showing you an inverted hammer after the price started from 73, 74, dropped down to 56 range. Now, getting these candles are bullish. Agreed. But that actually goes on to the weekly then to see what are we doing here. Because we got a hammer there, but we didn't get a follow through, or at least as of now it looks like that. But yes, obviously you need to go back in history to see with these hammers, did we reverse the very next week? Sometimes like these, yes, we did. Those were really good times. But there has been days or events where even after those, you still had these highly volatile movements before you bursted higher. Now, for us, the positive thing is that we still remain above the long-term moving average, while the long-term moving average is still trending higher. So when we zoom in towards the daily, it's neutral to negative. The moving average is not trending to the upside. It looks like this, a phase of correction. Price is below the moving average. It is pulling the moving average to the downside. And it is still downside. So the moving average is still moving lower. For the price to shift that momentum, you will have to see at least a 12-hour to 4-hour moving average slowly turning back up. Now, are we there yet? On a 12-hour chart, we'll have to actually put the perspective like this. The last movement to the downside was kind of 9-10% from the moving average. And here we are 11. And that's comparatively a higher volatile movement there. So now, okay, you say, okay, that's a 12-hour chart. Let's go to a daily or a 3-day. It again actually goes back to the point of that argument where at that bottom it was 11%. That's not something you should ignore, because right now, if you actually put that correctly, it's like 12 point something, say close to 13, here 11.2. So you get the point. The price was still down the moving average. The moving average was still going down, but that happened to be the local bottom. So when we do go back to see all of these local lows, we kind of get a taste of what's happening here in the market. 12 to 13% below the moving average on a daily. That's strong because the issue is when you go back to the weekly, the price is still above the moving average and it came down to test that moving average. So it kind of gives you sort of this movement here, which is valid in the market. Now, yes, that's the Bitcoin side of things. It's highly volatile. Macro is still at that point where you're not dropping like nuts to the downside. Rather, you're staying in this path. That, as of now, does not look bearish, because for that to be bearish, you need to see a negative divergence. You need to see a break of your macro trend line, which actually is here. So for the macro trend line to break to the downside, you first need to come down here. As of now, you have not done that. So price remaining choppy for a week here should not surprise us. It would allow the RSI to cool off and reach the support. At that point, we can easily look for a bounce off. Now, that coming into the dollar terms would be like this. Dollar breaking to the downside, retesting the moving average, and then going back down to a trend line support. Say maybe this is going to be that trend line. Fine. That's going to be a cool event for crypto market to get some sort of relief, but not a bull season to call it. Now on the Ether side, the short-term scenario still remains the same. You're here. You haven't changed the direction. On a macro, the pattern still is the same. One of the reasons for that is the market has not done much in last few days. So if you want to put a number onto that, you can actually put the measurement and say, okay, from the day here, which is April the 15th, all the way to here, that's almost 3.5 weeks. We haven't done much. We're still ranging. As of now, you don't have huge bullish movements in the market. What it shows here is a possible movement like this. The A, B, C, D, E, that can still play out. You may actually see a retest of the zone. Shouldn't be surprised. Now, that's why when we go back into XRP, I was putting the argument, we may come back to 0.47, 0.48. That shouldn't be a surprise, because the way the price is breaking to the downside, it shows it's not at least increasing the strength. Remember, we had the chart for the RSI saying this is going to be a resistance, and it is a resistance. And whenever I see these kind of things and post in the SI family like this, 1,000+ members actually on real time, they see this. It's like 17,000+ posts and 1,000+ members readily watching through all of those. So if you were surprised with these kind of moves in the market right now, and you think that these would have helped you, then you can look at the SI family. The link is in the description below in YouTube or on the bio on Twitter. Now coming back to the matter. When you're in the market and you're looking through all these micro moves, understand the whales are going to play a lot of different games. What we are trying to look at though is that, okay, does that micro move align with the short term, the medium term, the macro direction? That's where we are happy. Or in other words, you want to see the 1 hour moving average pointing you to the upside, the 4 hour moving average pointing you to the upside, which then shows the daily is pointing to the upside, all of that kind of thing in the same direction. That's where you're super optimistic. We have been there like last month. We have seen that earlier this year. We have seen that late last year. These seasons in the market come and go. While that event plays out, remember the price action come and visit its critical levels again and again. Sometimes it happens very soon. Sometimes it takes another 2 weeks for that to happen. So it's now our duty to understand, okay, let me zoom a little bit out. Let me understand the macro narrative. Then look for the micro moves. This is going to help you understand, okay, I can expect something like this, where the whales would actually kick highly levered movements and then push back up, then grow in terms of price action. So if you see a bounce off from here, look if we are breaking this trend line or not. If we do, then most likely we'll get a retest and a bounce. This is positive. That's healthy. We are going towards that $80,000 or higher. We'll have the measured move. We'll plot that to the upside. All of that remains true. But as of now, the important factor is to get a bounce from this level. If we do, then what happens? That means this range on a horizontal basis, support resistance basis, becomes a fake out like this, which is really healthy. Meaning, when you got a fake out to the upside, the price actually went down, made a new low on that local horizon. Which means if you do confirm this bounce, then most likely you're going to see a break above this level of $73,000, $74,000 in Bitcoin. And that does mean heavily bullish for the altcoins as well, because the market is at that verge. So if you are following all this and you think you received value for your time here in the SI family, smash that like button for me. I'll meet you guys on the next video. Bye for now.